I say we do. I'm not here to discuss this with my mind. When I say jump, you jump. I'm not here to have a discussion with you. I always tell people, anticipation is power. What's the number one rule of investing that even idiots understand? Don't pull all your eggs in one basket.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something greater inside you. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to train your mind, get mentors, and become an owner with Tony Robbins and my take on his Top 10 Rules to Success, Volume 6, to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1, train your mind.
The most common question I've been asked by the media my entire life that always makes me laugh is, well, don't you have bad days? Don't you have days when you're like frustrated and excited and pissed off and you watch TV and you eat Cheetos and watch pornography? And I said, well, I do some of those things, right? And of course I do, but it's like an athlete. I built muscle over the years so that it's not that I don't have feelings, that I don't get hurt, or I don't feel sad, I don't feel tired, I feel all those things, but they're not the dominant force in my life. It's a muscle. The mind is a muscle. Emotion is a muscle. I mean, I think the most powerful muscles are the invisible force muscles. It's your spiritual, emotional muscles. Like courage unused doesn't grow, it shrinks. So I put my ass on the line regularly so that it grows, and when it keeps growing, then pretty soon the stuff that used to make me crazy, it doesn't touch me. It's not that I'm so great, just I'm well trained. I've trained this mind. I get up every morning in my life, you talk about rebounder, more crazy shit I do is every morning in my life, if I'm near any of my homes, and some places I have cryotherapy, but my homes I have these cold plunges, and they're 56 degrees, and the first thing I do is jump in that cold plunge. So there's not a morning where I want to jump in that. I can't remember mornings like, oh, I can't wait to jump in that thing. But I don't negotiate with myself. I do it for 2 reasons. One, there's a physical health component. It moves your lymph system, the blood flushes through your whole body. But the main reason I do it, even more than that, is when I go up there, I don't, you know how people negotiate, well, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, I'm gonna do this, or oh, let me wait 2 more minutes till I'm ready. There's none of that with me. For decades, I go, I say, we do. I'm not here to discuss this with my mind. There's mind, and then there's soul and spirit. And soul and spirit, my soul knows. And when I say jump, you jump. I'm not here to have a discussion with you.
Rule number 2, get mentors.
I always tell people, anticipation is power. If you ever play a video game against a child, it's pretty disastrous, right? Maybe not for you, you're maybe a different generation. But for me, it's like, it's not the kid is faster and smarter. If they played this game before, like 8 million times. So they know the first shot's here, the second shot's here, the third shot there, and you're like reacting. So when you're reacting to things, you fail. So my mentors have been people over the year, different people. My earliest mentor was a man named Jim Rohn. He was a personal development speaker, just touched my life. Then I was involved in neurolinguistic programming, NLP, when I was, 21, 22, 23 years old. I became partners with a man named John Grinder, brilliant man, co-founder of that. But in my last couple decades, it's been people like Peter Guber, who owns the LA Dodgers and owns the Golden State Warriors NBA team, and he's just brilliant. He's got 52 Academy Award nominations. So he's a mentor for me. Paul Tudor Jones, I coach, but also I'm coached by him because we get to pitch and catch. And then, I've got some people in my life that, like Steve Wynn is a dear friend of mine, built most of Las Vegas.
He's brilliant.
And these guys are all 18 years my senior, so they know the road ahead. And I'm able to learn from them in advance and then kind of anticipate things. And that, to me, is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Rule number 3, become an owner. What is the one thing that you want people to understand about control? And they feel out of control, they feel they don't understand the stock market. Like, what's the one message you want people to take home around control?
I think it's that you have to become an owner and not just a consumer. You have to take a percentage of what you earn, as simplistic as it sounds, and automate it so it comes off the top of what you earn. There's a gentleman that worked for UPS, his name's Theodore, and Theodore Robinson was this guy who never made more than $14,000 a year, and yet he retired with $70 million and gave away $35 million while he was alive. How did he do it? He became an owner. His best friend said to him, listen to me, the most important thing in your life is we're going to put a wealth tax on you. He goes, wealth tax? I make $14,000 a year. He goes, we're going to make you wealthy with this tax. It's not a government tax. It's a tax for yourself. So we're going to take 20% of what you earn and put it in an investment account and let it build up. He said, I can't afford that. He goes, once it's automated, you won't notice. That's all he did that made him $70 million. So it's like people have to understand that no matter how good you are in business, we all need a second business with no employees, and it takes very little time. Something that once you do your homework should take you, 15 minutes to an hour twice a year to rebalance perhaps. But outside of that, that's what this is. This is setting up a business that'll make you do well. When I was, how old was I? When I was 24 years old, 25 years old, I worked with a man named Ken Blanchard who wrote those 1 Minute Manager books. You probably remember him, Evan.
Yeah.
Really great guy. And I helped him take 5 strokes off his golf game, and that made me God to him. And then he said, I want to return the favor. And he goes, the best advice I got growing my business was, I was about to come out with my first book. And he said, a friend of mine who's very wealthy said, do not put that money in your company. Let the leads go to your company. Do not let the profits go. And do not spend those profits. Put that in a separate account that nothing ever touches, because your business will eat whatever resources you have. When a growing business does that. And he said, Tony, I put that aside, and during the tough times, that's what made me safe. Well, I did the same thing with that in my original infomercials. That alone made me a wealthy man. So when tough times came, I could withstand it. So I see so many business owners go, yeah, but I have control of my business. Bullshit. You have influence over your business. Yes, you have more influence, but there are better entrepreneurs than you perhaps out there as well, or businesses that get greater valuations than your business will. And so your ability to grow, you want to grow your own business? I always tell people, you want to build 2 businesses, the business you're in and the business you're becoming. And then you want to have the business that you're in and becoming and an investment business. It's really simple once you set it up. And I think everybody's got to do that if they really want to have financial freedom, because look, the marketplace changes, competition changes. IBM was the head of the pack forever. And then some little kid from Microsoft comes along and buys MS-DOS for $50,000 and then leases it to them and makes himself $3 billion on that little move alone. He didn't even write the software, right? He's doing great, and all of a sudden, this little company comes along, a couple of guys at Stanford called Google, and Apple comes along. So there's always disruption, and the disruption can be competition, it can be new technology, it can be a change in the culture. So even if you do everything right, you could lose. I want people to have a backup plan. This is the backup plan.
Rule number 4, demand excellence from yourself.
Why is LeBron James who he is? It's not because he's lucky. Everyone say, he's lucky. He might have certain physical talents, or Michael Jordan. I remember I interviewed him years ago, and I said, what makes you the best in the world? Is it skill? Is it talent? Is it ability? Is it background? Is it training? And he was so awesome. He said, Tony, I can tell you the truth, and it won't sound like hyperbole or false modesty. He said, I didn't even make the high school basketball team my sophomore year. I was cut. He said, what it is every day I demand more from myself than anybody else could possibly expect. I don't compete with other people. I compete with what I'm capable of. And it's just like that kind of standard is inspiring.
Also, if you want to have more motivation and confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You got to separate the vehicle from the outcome. What is it that's going to truly fulfill you? What is it that's going to give you that extraordinary life? The fact that human beings, our strongest drive is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. What's going to fulfill you is different than the other person next to you. You're not going to learn that from anybody else. And you got to find it, because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Rule number 5, be emotionally fit.
Breakdowns, it's certainly not something I experience, but it's not because I'm so talented or so brilliant or so fearless. It's just, you're like an athlete. You're an athlete.
Yeah.
You're in shape, right? You're not going to have a reaction in your body like somebody who doesn't take care of themselves.
Right.
So, I don't believe in emotional intelligence. I think it's useful, but I'm more interested in emotional fitness, because intelligence is a capability. Fitness is a state of readiness.
Interesting.
If you are fit, you can take that demand right now and you can deal with it. You can deal with that physical stress, that emotional stress. Same thing's true with psychological fitness, emotional fitness, right? So I'm pretty fit, and part of that is not because I'm so smart. Part of it is that I've taught this for decades. I remember I had a woman who came to one of my seminars in her, early 80s probably, and she would run in this room, 5,000, 10,000 people. I think it was, she went a couple of 10,000 person events, and she would get in this front row and fight her way through there. And she'd jump and go for it. And at one break, she came up to me, I was signing a book for her, and she says, she goes, Mr. Robbins, I've seen you at like 8 of these. She goes, I've seen you like when you're really, I know I can hear your voice, you're hurting or you haven't slept. And she goes, you always seem to be so up all the time. How come you're so up? And I said, well, part of it is I attend all these seminars. So I'm teaching it. So there's a fitness in that. But there's also, I've buried 3 fathers and 1 mother, and that affects your life. I've had a physician look me in the eye and say you have a tumor in your brain. Wow. And so I've had those moments that when you've had extreme stress and you push your way through it, you build psychological muscle. It's like it takes a lot to knock me off. In the early days, we didn't have $50,000 to keep the doors open. How do we do it? Then I had, graduated to 5 million. Then I graduated to a partner of mine who kind of didn't do things well, and I ended up owning $100 million because I had to take on his debts. $100 million. But when you do all that stuff, now my companies do 5 billion, a year. So you keep expanding what I would call really the circle of the threshold of your influence.
Sure.
Everybody has a threshold of control, and if you get beyond it, you kind of freak out. So it takes a little bit more. I can't.
So you don't really have breakdowns.
I don't have a breakdown. I mean, do I get pissed off or get frustrated or tired? Yeah, but a breakdown, honestly, no.
Rule number 6, diversify. What would you tell the startup entrepreneur who maybe is just getting started or maybe still has a full-time job and it feels like every dollar that they're making, they're just trying to build their business at the moment, they haven't cashed out yet. Should they be investing into their business? Should they still be saving some and put into the market? What would you tell that person?
I think you have to put something outside your business, because what's the number one rule of investing that even idiots understand? Don't pull all your eggs in one basket, right? And what do 90% of entrepreneurs do? Because of the illusion of control, they go, I'm going to put all my money in my business. Don't get me wrong. It's still a great place for your money and for your time and for your energy. But you got to take a piece of what you earn and you got to bet on some other entrepreneurs and get outside yourself specifically. And if you look at, somebody like Warren Buffett will tell you, look, he said, all my wealth is a result of a couple things, some good genes and compound interest and living in America. So if all you do is get compound interest on your side, the game changes. If you take a 19-year-old kid that's got a little job and you say, look, I want you, it sounds like a lot, but I want you to put aside $300 a month. But let me show you why. $300 a month set aside, throw it in the market. Average market return's been 8%. It's been 10% over 100 years, but most recent, 30 years, 8%. So let's say you get the average return and it compounds. That kid who starts at 19 with 300 a month can stop at 27. He's only done it for 8 years, never put another dime in. And he's only put in $28,000, but that'll grow to 1.8 million without putting another dime in. That's the power of compounding. 28 grand, 1.8 million. If his best friend starts at 27 when he quits and does every single year all the way to 65, and he puts in the same $300 a month, he puts in 140 grand, and at the end of that time, he's got $400,000 less money. So it's not the amount of money, it's the amount of time. Time is your greatest friend here. And if you get in the game, you're going to win. And you need to get in the game now, not wait till your business is successful.
Rule number 7, live a meaningful life.
So I live my life where I keep learning, I keep growing, I keep loving, I keep laughing, and I'm trying to leave a decent legacy of a meaningful life by constantly looking for ways I can be helpful. And my prayer, my simple prayer before I walk out on every stage is use me, Lord. And when you do that, it's like, if you get out of the way, my greatest gift is getting out of the way. I know that sounds silly to some people, but it's really true. I'm not an ultra religious person, but I'm extremely spiritual, and I believe the force of life comes through me, it comes through you, it comes through all of us. And the only thing that gets in the way is all the beliefs we have of how it's supposed to be, all the expectations we have, and I have them too, but I keep weeding them out.
Rule number 8, practice gratitude.
Sir John Templeton is probably one of the greatest investors in history. People don't know his name. He started out with nothing. He wasn't Sir, he wasn't from another country, he came from the US. And he decided that he wanted to understand wealth, and so he saved $10,000, a huge amount of money in those days. And when Hitler invaded Poland, he developed a belief. And his belief was, you make your money in times of maximum pessimism. Like if you were around in 2008-9, you remember what it was like, right?
Yeah.
You could have bought, the Sands in Las Vegas, you could have bought their stock for $2.28. Today it's $67.
Wow.
It's a 3,000% return.
It's not bad.
You could have bought Citibank for less than $1, right? So people in those times, he understood that. And so what he did was, and everybody thought the world was going to end, he took $10,000, he bought every stock on the New York Stock Exchange that was $1 or less, including companies everybody thought were going bankrupt. But when things are bad, people think it's going to be bad forever. When things are good, they think it's going to be good forever. And they're always wrong. Life's cyclical. So there's a season for everything. So once we got through World War II and a few years later, guess what? Those same stocks made him a billionaire. So when I asked him, I said, what's the secret to wealth? His response really touched me. He goes, you know it, you teach it. I said, what's that? He said, gratitude. And I said, why do you say that? He said, because if you got $1 billion and every day you live pissed off and frustrated, the quality of your life is called pissed off and frustrated.
Right.
But if you have nothing, but you're euphorically grateful for whatever you have, you're the richest person that you're going to know. He said, so it doesn't matter how much money you got if you don't have gratitude. So I do the same thing, by the way. I have a process I call it priming, where I get up every morning. I do mine in the morning. I just radical change to my body, kind of alter my state. And then I do 10 minutes, I never miss, and my first 3.5 minutes is what I'm really grateful for. And I make myself think of at least one of those three that's something really simplistic instead of something giant. The wind on my face, the look in one of my kids' eyes, something of that nature. And then I do 3 minutes of strengthening, healing, and I do 3 minutes of what I'm going to create my world. And I do that for a minimum of 10 minutes every day, because I believe you have to condition it. You don't just hope that stuff shows up.
You set your intention each morning.
Well, I'm not every day.
Yeah.
Rule number 9, be unshakable.
I look at control as a delusion, right? That's the first thing. It's your desire for the illusion of control that's pushing you. What you want is certainty. You want certainty you can avoid pain. You want certainty you can have pleasure. You want certainty you can have a significant and meaningful life. We all want certainty. But learning ways to control what you can control is wonderful, but you can't control most things. What you can do is influence them. And so what I look at it and say is, don't give myself the delusion I have control, because then I'll feel like I've lost it at some point. I never have control, I have influence. I can influence my kids. I can't control them. I can influence myself. I can influence what happens to me financially. Can't control it completely. And so I think if you give up the illusion of control, that loosens things up a little bit. But I think the second thing is to focus on what you can control, which is what you think, feel, and what you do. And if I focus on the things I can control, I'm going to feel better. I mean, all the research shows that human beings, when they feel out of control, freak out inside. And the more they feel they're in control, the greater their self-esteem. And the way to have that additional control is to say, okay, what I can control is what I do within the seasons. You can say, I don't like gravity and step off the side here, but you're going to pay the price. There are certain things that are outside your control, but you can use gravity. Well, I can fly a helicopter and airplane because I understand the dynamics of how to do that. If you understand the dynamics of the marketplace, you use the marketplace doesn't use you. And that's why I wrote Unshakable. I want people to have no more fear. And when you start understanding some of these statistics, like, what's everybody afraid of? A bear market. A bear market is when market corrects 20% or more. Over the last 80 years, they've happened about every 3 to 5 years, to give you an idea. Later years, more 5 years. Well, now we've gone the longest period in history without one. And yet people are still afraid. After every single bear market we've had in the history of the United States, it's led immediately into a bull market. If you remember 2008, 2009, 50% drop. In the next 12 months, it was up. The S&P was up 69%. It's almost 70%. I can show you every turn down. So when you start seeing that, it's immutable. It's like winter comes, but winter isn't forever. And winter is a great time to take advantage, because some people freeze to death in winter. Other people ski and snowboard and get by the fire. Well, winter is when things are on sale. If somebody said to you, I got a $400,000 Ferrari that you could buy for $70,000, you probably grab it in a heartbeat. But if somebody takes you a stock that was $400 and it's $70, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. You have to look at the cycles of history. And when you do it, you become unshakable. And more importantly, you become wealthy.
And rule number 10, the last one for a very special bonus clip, is prime yourself.
My very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I want to get my head right. I do this thing called priming. Now, some people get up in the morning and they meditate. And I think meditation is wonderful, but I haven't met many people that can not think thoughts. This is a different outcome. This is about priming yourself. It's about putting yourself in the state where your mind and body will respond accordingly. We'll do 3 steps. It's really simple, over 10 minutes. So why don't you sit down and I'll guide you through it. So just get really comfortable. You want to be sitting up. Is that back enough for you to be able to relax?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, cool. And then the first thing you're going to do is your hands are going to come up as you take the breath in, and then you're going to explode out the nose, down. Explosive. That's it. Good. That's it. Keep going. 2 more. Good. Now relax. Keep your eyes closed. Have your hands open if you would on your lap, face up like that. Just feel whatever you feel. Just take it in. And you don't even have to respond to me anymore. You just enjoy it and take it in. And now just let your body relax deeply. And I'd like you to begin to think of a moment in your life you could feel really grateful for if you wanted to. It could be something little, Rich, or it could be something big. It doesn't matter. It could be from your childhood or this week. It doesn't matter. Do your best to remember it and then step into it as if you were there, kind of like stepping in your body and seeing what you saw then through your own eyes, hearing what you heard then, feeling what you felt then. Just savor it. Maximize that sense of appreciation or enjoyment or gratitude. Enjoy it, feel it, fill up with it. And now we're going to shift to the last piece, really simple. All you're going to do is focus on 3 things, one at a time, that you want to accomplish. 3 things you want to achieve. Live it and feel it and experience it. was that?
It was good.
Yeah, what'd you feel?
It feels calming. Refreshing.
Yeah.
It's good to like escape inside myself.
Yeah.
Basically.
There's two worlds to master, the external world and the internal world. They both have to be mastered, but if you master the external world, you know, a la, you know, Robin Williams, but you don't master the internal world, there's a big price. This is the one to master first, and so I start my day by making that, so I have this base to do it. I'm gonna live from gratitude today. I'm gonna live from blessing, you know, I wanna be a blessing in people's life today. I'm gonna get stronger today, and I'm gonna achieve what I'm here committed to do. And the whole thing, you know, we did that one in a little less than 10 minutes, to give you an idea.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Tony on how to push yourself that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. What are 3 things that you are grateful for today? Number 2, what does a meaningful life mean to you? And number 3, where do you need to demand excellence from yourself? And if you like this video and promise to take action after watching it, we don't just watch videos, we do something. Give me a hashtag believe in the comments, and then keep that promise to yourself and get to work.
When I've had challenging times, I mean, I have so many tools.
Yeah.
You know, I pull them out. And mostly it's just like you as an athlete. You know, you don't just physically break down.
Right.
You take care of yourself. So
you're constantly training that.
I think
muscle.
most people don't train their mind and emotions. It's like I think the most powerful muscles to me are not physical. They're as strong as important as they are. It's like faith is a muscle, courage is a muscle, determination is a muscle, playfulness is a muscle. You know, passion unexpressed weakens. You know, faith untested gets smaller. Yeah. So I'm always, I call it deep practice. I'm always pushing myself to the edge, and pushing yourself to the edge makes you stronger.
Yeah.
You know?
If you like this video and want to see the first Tony Robbins top 10 that I did, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You say, I'm gonna find the way, or I'm gonna make the way. What is it that's gonna truly fulfill you? Getting things is not gonna make you happy. You want clients for life?